Hey everybody, it's Romania Black. We're on episode 2 of Yona of the Dawn, and I'm so excited about this show already. It has been a long time since I have watched a shoujo-y reverse harem, probably since Ouran High School Host Club, to be honest. And I'm really excited, like a romance that's like fantasy with guys that had better been able to turn into dragons. That's all I'm gonna say. They had better be able to turn into dragons. I want dragon boys with our princess. And that's not much to ask, is it? But I really liked the first episode of this series. It was setting up just like the humor of it. This show is really funny. It's playing with a lot of like romantic tropes. The idea of Hawk, our very hot bodyguard for the princess that in no way, shape, or form will be a possible love interest. And then setting up old Soo Won that is her cousin that she had this romantic interest in and turns out to be our antagonist. And kills her dad like in the first episode. And surprisingly, at the end of that episode, it got pretty bloody. So I was like, all right, cool. A shoujo that's not afraid to get bloody. I mean, I say that, Banana Fish is a shoujo. And it's like one of the most graphic, violent things I've watched. So what do you do? But I really like this show so far. I like the tone of it. I like Yona as a character. I feel like she's one of those characters that she's going to start in one area and she's going to develop and grow over time. Because when we first started the last episode, she was a lot more serious and stoic. And I'm like, okay, cool. We're going to follow her on that journey from being the bubbly, ditzy princess to getting to be a stoic warrior. Like, awesome. Ready to do that. So I'm all on board this show already. I'm pretty excited about it. It's going to be fun to watch a cool fantasy that's got romantic elements and characters like this and the humor like this. I'm just really on board with it already. So I was pretty excited to start episode 2. I'm like, yes, let's do this. So without further ado, I don't have much to add, but without further ado, let's dive into this, shall we? I recorded episode 1, and this is just a couple days later because I couldn't wait. I was like, no, I need to record this episode now because I didn't want to wait. So if y'all have any comments, either on Patreon or YouTube, I will address them in a future episode. I promise. We got lots of episodes. We got 24 episodes this season, or this series. So we got tons of time to address it. But let's dive in, shall we? We are going to start episode 2, Torn Bonds. I'm assuming that's between Soo Won and Yona, but we shall see. But we're going to start that episode here in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Oh, girl, ditch Soo Won. Hawk is where it's at, y'all. Hawk is checking off all my husbando boxes. I'm like, yes, tall, dark, handsome man that is compassionate, will carry you with one arm while fighting off an army with the other. Like, sign me up for the next war. Like, this show. It's so intriguing so far. It really is. I am all for it. I'm very curious about Soo Won in this episode. So we need to talk about this. There's some contradictory elements here. We're not getting the full picture, right? We're not getting the full story. So the king is dead. He's straight up dead. Soo Won has killed him. And poor Yona is in a complete state of shock this episode. It's such a tease because they show us at the end of this episode like what she's like in the future. I'm assuming by the time we get to like episode 22 or 23, we're going to see her in this role. And it's like, damn, we've got to get those 20 episodes to get her to this point and see what adventures she goes on with these dragon boys and see how we get to this. But yeah, I am all about a protagonist like Yona starting out one way as the spoiled princess who's funny and cute and transitioning into like a badass warrior by the end of it to save her kingdom and repay her father and get revenge on him. I'm all for it. But Soo Won is so interesting so far. I feel like something is not right in the story, right? There's an unreliable narrator somewhere. I don't know if it's Soo Won necessarily or if it's his dad that's the unreliable narrator, right? Because Soo Won, I do believe that Soo Won has wanted to kill Yona's dad for a long time. I do believe that. I do believe that Soo Won blames Yona's dad for murdering his own father. I completely believe that based on what he said. But some of the story just doesn't add up, right? Some of the story does not make sense. And so, best is opening here. But yeah, you can definitely tell that, like, so Hawk has basically been raised as part of the family, raised up to be a general, taken from this tribe, the former Wind tribe, taken up to be raised to protect Yona. Cool. Girl, Hawk is so perfect. I love Hawk's character so much. But yeah, this idea called torn bonds. Obviously the bonds between Hawk and Soo Won and Yona being torn, but talking also about the bonds between the two brothers, Il, and then the other brother, is it Won, getting broken as well. So yes, the idea was that this coup was going to take place while everybody was drunk, which makes sense. And then Hawk was the only person they were concerned about. And don't blame him. Dude could fight off an army one-handed. Like, and I love that he's like the Thunder Beast, the Raiju Thunder Beast from the Wind tribe. I love that his theme is like a storm. That's so cool. Like, it's like thunder and lightning. I love it. I love it. So then, yeah, Yona's like, my dad cared for you since you were a kid. Like, why would you do this? And so here's the thing. So Soo Won said he loved Yona's dad. And then, obviously, there was a lot of rumors that he was a coward who feared conflict, and some of the people didn't like him because of it. They thought he was a weak king. And so Soo Won says, I used to believe that that's what made him kind, was that his cowardice and whatever, and him not seeking conflict is what made him a kind person. But, so someone along the way has told him that Il killed his father. That's why Yu Hong is his dad. And Soo Won looks nothing like his father. Soo Won and Yona, the genes on their father's side are not strong. the gene pool is not strong on that side of the family, because both of them must look like their mothers, because they're like, neither of them look like their fathers at all, which is kind of hilarious. So, ever since my father was young, he was courageous and intelligent. So, he grew into a man who always led our armies into victory. So you have the military leader son, and you have the pacifist other brother, the younger brother. So the older brother is in charge of the military and in line to be king. And then 10 years ago... So here's the thing. Yona is 16. So the former king, Junam, basically had been king while these kids were growing up, right? And so when Yona was 6... and Soo Won presumably was about 6 or 7, the king chose Il to be his successor instead of Yu Hong, right? And so the question is, why? No one understood his choice. The eldest son was the rightful successor to the throne, so why choose? And this is why I think that the unreliable narrator in all of this is Yu Hong. Yu Hong is the unreliable narrator, because it just sounds too good to be true, like, right? Il is the kindly, non-confrontational brother. Why would you choose him to be king? Unless Yu Hong is actually a total prick and is awful, and Soo Won just has this image built up in his mind of how his dad was. Because he says, my father kept smiling. My father kept smiling and said, the throne is no big deal to me. I'll continue to fight on the front lines to protect my younger brother and my people. So, and he says, I was proud of my father and had great respect for him. But here's the thing. I don't think Soo Won is looking at his father through the eyes of a 6-year-old. And when you're a kid, you view your parents in a certain way that maybe isn't an accurate representation. So when he said his father was smiling, yeah, his dad may have been smiling, but it could have been fake. It could have been a fake smile. He could have been just, had a smile on his face, but that's not really how he felt, right? So I'm thinking that Yu Hong was actually jealous that his brother was chosen, or maybe Yu Hong made some bad decisions, and the current King Junam was like, I don't want you taking over the kingdom because I don't think you'll do well for the kingdom. I want our kingdom to be in peace. I think you'll just cause more conflict. And maybe this guy was stirring up talks of war with other nations, and Junam caught wind of it and was like, I don't want you being in charge. I'm going to put the other brother in charge instead because he's the peacekeeper. And I'm going to guess that Yu Hong didn't like that, or Yu Hong didn't. And so he may have challenged Il. And here's the thing. He says that Soo Won's like, Il killed my father with his own sword after succeeding for the throne for unknown reasons. He killed my brother. And I'm like, for unknown reasons, My guess is, and she said, my uncle died in an accident. He's like, well, that was the official story. So I totally think that perhaps Il did kill Yu Hong, but I think it could have been because Yu Hong was going to try to attack him or try to kill Yona or his wife, and he was defending his family, and he's like, if you try to kill my family, I'll have no choice but to get rid of you. And so maybe they had a duel, and Il somehow, but I'm like, Il doesn't look like the person who would win a duel. So there's that, but I don't know. I feel like there's an unreliable narrator, and that there's parts of the story that Soo Won either isn't telling us or he isn't privy to himself. Because even after, obviously he killed the king in to get revenge, that makes sense. But I still think that Il was one who did hate conflict, but maybe he had no choice. He had to engage in conflict to save his people from his brother. So, because even when Yona admits, he's like, why were you here? They said you never visit your father, which adds to the guilt, right? Because she gets so she feels so guilty later on. She's like, I never told my father thank you for the birthday party, for everything. She's like, I never told my father thank you. I didn't say enough good things to him, and now he's gone. And so you can imagine she feels so guilty. But then Soo Won adds to the guilt by saying, they said you're never around your dad. And it's like, just make the girl feel worse. And so he says he's going to become the king, obviously. And so, but then when Yona says that the reason she came to talk to her father was because she wanted to admit to her father that she couldn't live without Soo Won, he starts to falter, and he's like, oh, like he just didn't expect that to be an answer. And I don't think that Soo Won was necessarily false to her. I think that he did genuinely care about her, but his desire for revenge was much stronger. And his desire to get revenge on his father was stronger than the feelings he had for Yona and Hawk. You know. So he starts to falter there, and that's when this Kisu or whatever guy comes in that looks like the advisor. And so I'm wondering if Kisu, this black-haired guy, if he had been working with Soo Won's father, or his father had been working with Soo Won's father, and he's all, because it just seems like Soo Won is not totally interested in killing Yona or Hawk, but he feels like they have to secure his place on the throne. And it almost seems like Kisuk, Kisuk is the one that is encouraging him to kill Yona, because like, she's a princess, she's seen too much, she has to go. And then he says, you've achieved your long-cherished desire. So it feels like Soo Won's being pushed a little bit by Kisuk and the others, and maybe his agenda was just to get revenge for his father, but now he's caught up in the political game, and it's like, even to the point where they're like not telling the people yet what's happened. They've got to fabricate something and figure out how to spin it first. So that's interesting. There's a lot more going on than what is showing on the surface. And so I'm really interested to know. I just feel like Soo Won, I don't feel like is a total antagonist yet. I feel like he is an antagonist, but I feel like he's not a total villain yet. There's other stuff going on behind the scenes that we don't know yet, that I'm assuming we'll find out as the story goes. Because it's not like he just killed the king and immediately usurped power. He's waiting it out and planning it all. Interesting. And poor Yona, she's in denial. And that's so sad. And then Hawk showing up. Damn. And then Hawk asking, like, where's the king and all this, and not believing what's going on. Man, what a badass. I love Hawk's character so far. He's my favorite. Because he's so concerned, like him being like, I'm sorry for leaving your side. And he's going to be there in the moonlight shining on them. And when he hugs her, it's like, girl, see the writing on the wall. Of course he's on her side. Oh, and like him smiling at her and the king telling her to protect him. I like total my type character. I'm like, the knight in shining armor. I love it. And they call him a servant. And it's like, ugh. And then when he says, where's King Il? And he's like, surely you didn't kill him. And when he says, I just sent him to hell. That line. And him stabbing the spear into the ground and breaking the concrete. And then being like, oh no. And him saying, are you drunk? So I'm like, can they turn into dragons? Are we going to get to that part? Or is it just their power is like a dragon? Is it like that motif? And then the fact he says Yona confirmed his death with her own eyes, that's what really pisses Hawk off, because he's like, oh, you let her see her father die? How dare you, sir? And then I love the fight scene. I love the fight scene between them. It's so good. And it's just like, Hawk's like, we grew up together, we were raised together, and you're telling me that you killed the king? Are you kidding me? Like, oh, it's so good. It's such a, I love it. I love it. You can just see the character dynamics and everything. The man is the heart of Castle Hiryu, one of the 5 generals. So, obviously, we haven't met the other generals yet. The Thunder Beast of Koka. And then, yeah, showing them as little kids. Yeah, something's not being said, right? Something's not being said. And we don't know what it is yet. But poor Min Soo, man. Min Soo taking one for the team. And I really thought for a second that he was going to meet it back up with them. But this show, you know, it looks all like flashy and colorful on the outside. And then people be dying left and right. It's so sad. I really thought Min Soo would escape, but them shooting him with the arrows is so sad. Ugh. And then the moment he says, I promise I'll get away, and Hawk's eyes narrow, you just know that he knows. He's like, you're not getting away. But, you know, you let us out, so. And they established that Hawk is from the mountains. What did they say he's from? Oh, that part's so tragic. I hate that. I hate that. He was raised in the precipitous mountain village of capital Fuga. So meaning it rains a lot. Which explains the whole Thunder Beast. It's a rain. It's a storm. Yes. It will be difficult for the men of the castle to find him because he knows his way around, right? And then him saying that they're tired and he stops and lets them rest. He's like, you good for nothing, King. Soo Won. Letting it get to this. And so we get this guy with the scar on his face, the big buff dude, and they're clearly trying to spin everything. And it just seems like, I don't know, it seems like Soo Won didn't want to become the king necessarily. He just wanted to get revenge on his dad. But you can't just get revenge on the king. You can't just kill the king and not become king yourself, right? It's like you're already killing the king, so somebody's got to take over. By birthright, it's you, right? So, but it seems like Soo Won didn't want to take over. He just wanted to get revenge on his dad. So we're not getting the full story. And I'm excited about that because that means there's still more to go through, but we've just not got there yet. And then her feeling so guilty about it and starting to cry. And she's like, where am I supposed to go? Oh, leaving her dad behind. And I wonder if Hawk can relate because he lost his father apparently when he got taken in by them. And then I'm sorry, but him hugging her, I'm like, girl. There's no contest. I'm like, And he's like, this is how you can return the king's feelings. By staying alive. Yep. And him just embracing her. This is the shoujo I've been missing. I need this. I need this. I'm so glad I'm watching this type of show. I really have, because I've been watching lots of shonen, lots of shonen ai, lots of seinen. It's been fun, but I haven't watched a straight up good shoujo. I mean, there's been Banana Fish, but that was a while ago. So, in a long time. I'm so excited. And then we get to see these characters show off. We go back to the preview from episode 1. Look at this green-haired guy looking like a diva. Like a straight-up diva with his little, shooting his little knives and his little spears and everything. Yeah, he looks like a straight-up diva. I'm so excited. And then the suave-looking guy with the dragon claw. That's why I was thinking that they could turn into dragons, but I don't know. Yes. It's got scales on it and everything. And then the blonde one, too, with the snaggletooth. That's the shield. Yes, please. I need more of these guys. I need more of them. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Yona has kind of like a Mulan vibe to her, but obviously not like Mulan because there's the whole princess angle and all of that, but I'm so digging this show, y'all. I'm so excited. Over the moon. Over the moon already, and we're only 2 episodes in. So I have a feeling I'm really going to look forward to watching this show because I haven't watched a show like this in a long, long time, and I'm pretty excited about it. So I'm curious to know your thoughts down below, what you all thought of this episode, and where we're going to from here. But I'm excited. So in the meantime, I hope y'all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back again soon with episode 3 of Yona of the Dawn. Bye.